So let's jump into what you're doing with marketplace and gaming theory. How would you explain gaming theory so that our moms could understand it?
So, game theory is one of the most flippantly named things in history. Another way to think of game theory is just strategic thinking. Um, it's about how you should make decisions when there are other decision makers present where both of you will have an
Mhm.
effect on outcomes. So many situations are just sort of you. You know, if you're in the kitchen and you're making a recipe, you put in the stuff or you don't put in the stuff. You know, you decide you don't like the flavor of this thing, and so you leave it out of the soup. It's all fine. But
Yeah.
if you're preparing that same thing for a family, then deciding that you don't like onions when everybody else it's their favorite part of the soup, suddenly there's some trade-offs, and you have to start thinking about, you know, what's going to lead to the outcome you actually want. Because if you don't make
Mhm.
it the right way, maybe the kids refuse to eat, and then you're not feeding your family anymore. So
Yeah.
that's where game theory steps in, of when situations exist where multiple choices are being made from multiple points of view. What what should or shouldn't you be doing in those situations? And there's a handful of things that we've actually discovered at a very general level about these things, some of which recapitulate things that are sort of common knowledge, but it's nice when math accords with what sort of our experience. So the first one
Mhm.
is tough but fair. In many situations, people sort of have a choice of being nice or nasty. And in many situations, being
Mhm.
nasty gives you an immediate advantage. If you were to cut in line, you'd be further ahead in line, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, in those sorts of situations, which arise all the time, how should you behave? Because obviously the other people also have the opportunity to be nice or nasty, and could undercut you if you're
Mhm.
not, sort of taking care of yourself. It's been discovered that a very simple and incredibly powerful general strategy is this thing called tough but fair, which is you're nice initially to everybody in every situation. And then when you
Mhm.
get into this position, or are playing against this person again, you give back whatever you were given the last time. So if you're nice the first time and the other person's nasty, then the next time you encounter them, you're nasty that time. But you make a
Mhm.
note. If they're nice back to you, then you'll be nice back to them the next time, and so on. And tough but fair, there are actually simulation contests where mathematicians and scientists attempt to build strategic robots, if you will, to play games like this
Mhm.
against each other. And there are some remarkably sophisticated strategies that eke out just barely above tough but fair sometime. But for decades, tough but fair has been crushing these types of competitions, because it's a maximizing strategy for your well-being in those kinds of situations.
Okay, so if we take a let's say a concrete example of me having a shop and you are one of my customer, it would mean that we might, so you come to buy something from me, I'll be tough, but I will not rip you off. That's kind of the idea of being
R-
tough and fair.
Exactly. Yes. Because yeah, in a commercial
Okay.
relationship, you could rip the other person off, and it would be beneficial
Yeah.
to you in the immediate term. Of course, we have laws,
Yeah.
fortunately, that would work against that. But
Yeah.
But yes, that kind of behavior.
Hmm.
The the kind of second general point is that usually optimal strategies are ones of indifference. So in a situation where you have sort of multiple choices and other people have multiple choices, you want to pursue a course of action which will make it so that you don't care what course of action the other player or the other players pursue. And a common example of this that again shows up in family life is dividing the last piece of cake. If you've got two kids and one piece of cake, the fair way to divide it is to have one of the two children cut the cake in half and have the other one pick which piece they want. And so the first child's best strategy is to cut the cake such that they don't care which half of the cake they get because they're not going to control which half of the cake they get.
Yeah.
So, in a situation where you can't control what other people are doing, which is most situations where other people are doing things, you want to
Yeah.
arrange your own life so that it works out to be pretty much the same no matter what they do.
Yeah. And what you're trying to do is then to visualize and translate this kind of approach into math
Yes.
and then
Yes.
apply that to marketplace and so on. Wow.
Well, and that's where
Okay.
things get fun because when you apply these things to mathematics, many mathematical functions move in both directions. So
Hmm.
marketplaces have people that have definite interests. Your
Yeah.
shopkeeper wants to sell his products at the prices that are listed on them. A farmer wants to sell, or a miner wants to sell the stuff that he's pulling out of the ground. On the other hand, a factory owner wants to buy those things so that he can turn them into the products that he wants to sell, and so on. So the interests are sort of already coming to the table from the outside world. And
Hmm.
the game theory gives us a way to find strategies for situations. So, what I found is a way to use a computer to adjust a game to make the strategies, basically to alter the situation to make simpler strategies more effective. So right now,
All right. So
marketplaces.
you so
Oh,
yeah.
okay. So right now, marketplaces are very complicated to interact with. There's a lot of moving parts. They move very, very
Mhm.
quickly. A lot of sophistication is necessary to work with them. I've found a way to design a marketplace that is very simple to interact with, but which has the same sort of abilities of bringing in knowledge from many parties, aggregating it together into a actionable, and broadcastable thing, and then allowing people to actually trade within a marketplace fairly without having to engage in the existing difficult parts of dealing with the existing markets.
Yeah. Okay, so if you take the example, let's say of a commodities market, so marketplace where I can buy, I don't know, vegetables, or where farmers are selling their production. And on the other side, we have, yeah, factories and global companies making soup, getting back to the soup, but also supermarkets that need also vegetables to put in their shelves. What your model does is at the marketplace level, try to make it a healthy playing field where it's being
Yes.
played tough and fair. Is that?
Yeah, yeah. Basically, what my system does is has a negotiation market where the two sides can come together and negotiate not on their own behalf, but on behalf of everyone. And so this system has to come up with a price that will be broadly interesting. And then we test that pre-negotiation, sort of like our shopkeeper example, by putting that price on things and seeing how much people actually want to offer for sale and actually buy. So if the negotiators did a good job,
Hmm.
then the buy and sell will be in balance. If negotiators did a bad job, then they'll be out of
Yeah.
balance, and that becomes a sign for future negotiation that it's time to adjust the price. So everybody trades at the same price that everybody else trades at, and everyone contributes to whatever degree they want to in a negotiation to figure out what those prices are going to be.
Hey, thanks for watching this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Please like and subscribe as it really helps the channel. Please also check this video or this video as YouTube is convinced that you will like it.